I gotta say, before I introduce the guest today, this is about the sexiest looking podcast I've ever been involved with. Oh, sorry, I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about myself. You guys look okay, but I'm looking at myself, man. I'm looking good today, huh?
We're gonna need a bad joke counter.
Anybody want to comment about how good my hair looks today? Nothing. I'm getting I'm getting crickets. I'm getting crickets on my appearance here. Okay. Stupid jokes aside, I'm really stoked today. I have two people who, well, just two very special people. Why don't I start with Kesi Smyth? Kesi is the general manager of the 604 label group and has been working here with me at 604 basically since it started back in the 1840s. Was it the 1840s that this started?
Rude. That's rude. Only you existed back then.
Oh, yeah, existed in the 1840s. And then our other guest, our special guest, is Emma Higgins. Emma is, well, gosh, I don't even know where to start with Emma. Emma was once the head of videography at 604. Um, but since then has really gone on to do some pretty incredible things. She's an award-winning video and filmmaker. How's it going, Emma?
It's going well. I'm so nervous. When you say nice things, it's like off-putting.
Oh,
Not used to.
come on. Come on. That's not true. I say lots of nice things. I say honest things. And if I honestly have nice feelings about something, then I'll say
Yeah, all
nice
right.
things.
Okay.
I mean, listen, have I ever had negative feelings towards either of you? Yes, of course I have. In fact, earlier before we went live, I was having negative feelings. Not really. But no, this is pretty wild because, between the two of you, it's like, man, that goes way back to the beginning of this label. So it's a little disorienting in a weird kind of way to be talking to the two of you all these years later. But I wanted to start with this. I was trying to remember when I first met you, Emma, and I'll tell you what I remember, and you tell me if I'm off on this. I could be completely off on this. I remember meeting you at a video shoot, and if I remember correctly, you were just sort of the assistant. But it's one of two videos, and I can't remember which one it is. I think it was either a Suits XL video for the song Low, which Kyle Davison directed. But then I thought maybe it was the Ocala video for War, which I think Colin Minahan directed. I just remember being out at some weird studio in Burnaby. And you were actually sweeping up. I remember you were like, that's what you were at the beginning of your career. You were just doing whatever it took to get involved. I remember kind of having a conversation with you when you were sort of sweeping up and just going, oh, she seems pretty cool. And that was kind of it. Does that resonate at all? Does that ring a bell at all?
No, it was Ocala War because I didn't work on a Suits XL video. I would have remembered that. And I waited a couple years to work on Kyle videos. I also would have remembered if it was a Kyle video because it would have been 24 hours long. That, but yeah, it was that was it. It was Ocala because we shot part of that video at my parents' house too at the end when he comes back from war and he has one leg. So
I
that's
don't know
my
if I
parents'
knew
house.
that fact that it ended up at your parents' place.
Yeah, and yeah, I was PAing. I PA'd for many, many, many videos.
And so, and again, I'm sorry because I should know. I mean, I was there, but I how did that lead to you working here? I honestly don't remember.
I've been working around things and I started doing my own videos. So I had already started shooting things when you hired me. And so I had done like a couple, I did like two Lilix videos and stuff before I started working there and a few other local bands. And then that led to you. And I knew Ben, who was my predecessor, Ben Nechtel. And so Ben was leaving. And I think Ben might have even suggested me for it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that rings a bell. Are you still in touch with Ben at all? Just out of curiosity.
Here and there, yeah. We did the Junos committee a couple years ago. So I'd see him. I thought it was probably the last time I saw him was 2 years ago. We did a long committee. He's still directing.
Was it 2011 when we started working together, Emma?
Yeah, I think it was 2011. That makes sense. I was there under 2 years, but I had been around 604 stuff for so before then and then after then.
Yeah, we worked with you
In-house.
a lot as a PA. I remember seeing you on many, many videos, and I think it made it an easy choice when you came in. Um, you made a big impact for 2 years. You definitely feel like a big piece of how we started creating our video department for sure.
I was
Well,
also
Emma
thinking
was
of,
also, oh, sorry, Emma. I was just going to say you were also involved in the creation of our soundstage. Like, I remember because that's right when, Call Me Maybe had happened. And I certainly remember you being involved on Carly stuff, but Call Me Maybe happens. And, all of a sudden, this dream I have of building this facility, I can actually make it come true. But of course, even when we bought the building, that still involved like so much in terms of, building this. And the one thing I for sure remember is it was a friend of yours in the movie business, I should say. You hooked us up. I think I asked you about that fairly recently, and you couldn't even remember who it was. But that's how we built the psych wall because we needed somebody with some expertise in that.
yeah, it makes me so happy when I see things being filmed there. I'm like, oh, it's being used to create stuff in. That makes me happy. It was, yeah, learning a lot. I didn't know things though. That's why we had to bring someone, and I didn't know like what the proper power amps that you need for studio lights are or how to get them.
Now, Ben Nechtel, just one more quick thing about Ben. Do you want to hear my Ben Nechtel joke?
Yes.
His name always reminds me of hemorrhoid cream. There's that hemorrhoid cream. I always say, if I'm having hemorrhoids, I always like to put a little Ben Nechtel on it. You know what I'm saying?
You've been telling that joke for like 15 years.
Yeah, what's Ben Gay was the hemorrhoid cream, and Ben Nechtel just sounds like. Okay, moving along from the Ben Nechtel joke. You guys are a tough crowd, let me tell you.
Thanks for stopping the conversation to bring that joke in, making sure it was heard.
I was worried if we got too far away from Ben, then that would really be bad. What was I going to do? Bring it up? Oh, I have one last thing to say. I mean, I couldn't bring it up at the end. There had to be some link. Here's another thing I was thinking about that I'm just curious to get your thoughts about, Emma. So you were sort of what I would call part of the second wave of music video directors in Canada, and here's what I mean by that. When we first started the label in the earlier part, like 2001 to 2010, let's say, we were spending an outrageous amount on videos. And that's when the budgets were different. I think because the music business was a lot healthier and the labels were making a lot more money. And it was not unusual that you would make even a first video for a band and spend between 50 and 100 grand. Like those kind of budgets were happening regularly. And then, of course, the bottom fell out of the business because of Napster. And that meant that the budget suddenly sort of plummeted. And so you had all these sort of people from what I would call the first wave of video directors, Kyle, and I'm going to forget everybody's names now, but there were a bunch of them.
Gloria Sigzamundi. I'm doing a
Yep.
panel with her too, and she's, came up from that in Toronto.
And they were making huge videos for huge amounts of money. And then, like I said, the bottom kind of fell out. And I feel like it was kind of replaced with the second wave of video directors, of which you were one. I'd say Colin Minahan was one.
RT was definitely cranking videos out.
100%, but it was at a lower budget at that point. Like it went from these $100,000 videos, and then all these people like Kyle were like, "Fuck this! I'm going to go make commercials." They were so used to making so much money, and when the budgets kind of went down, you saw a whole different sort of wave of directors come in, and now I think we're sort of hit a third wave of this, in part because again the budgets have gone down. But it's pretty wild because like we were spending, I think on that first Theory of a Dead Man record, which was the first record we put out, I think those videos cost about 75 grand each. Now it's not unusual that we're making a music video for 5 grand.
I mean, first of all, you would have been on film in those days too, and things were more expensive. But I feel like I'm the last generation of music video director and it's still, even at my time, it wasn't a career. really. It wasn't like you could have a family and like support yourself on a music video income. Like Kyle and Floria's generation, kind of. It was still a job. And like then it just became something you have to do. I think when you're young and your expenses are very low and you can just work for, you know, food. That's kind of what you get.
I don't remember at the time that you were talking about like wanting to make feature films and stuff. I sort of remember that coming up a little bit later. I think after you left. Now you could have very well been thinking that the whole time, just not something you were talking about with me, which is fine. But was that always the goal?
Yeah, it was always a little, I don't know if I don't know when it didn't feel attainable, I guess, probably at the time. That felt like at the time I was focused on like just getting a reel and being able to call myself a director, period. So hoping that it would go to some bigger things eventually. And then, yeah, working through videos, kind of seeing that through to its end, doing commercials, and then starting to be able to, yeah, features is always, that's like for directors, features are like the end all be all because you get the most creative control.
Yeah. You've done other films, but they were short films, right?
Yeah.
Like
Different.
what? Because I remember you coming and using the soundstage once. I think you just sort of called me and said, "Hey,
There's a number of, yeah, short films and stuff. I did one, I mean, speaking of those, I got one Bravo fact in I think 2016 before that grant went away, which was the short film version of Much Fact and Video Fact, which also supplied our a lot of our budgets. And I don't know for these new directors because all those that short film, all these music videos with those grants, that's how you cut your teeth. And it's hard now. I don't know what the new directors are doing.
Yeah, because all those grants are gone. I mean, I think there are some grants, but certainly Much Fact was sort of the go-to sort of. And I always had issues with. I mean, it was helpful, and I never like to look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say. But I like, and I do appreciate all the funding we got. But I always thought Much Fact was a little nutty because you never had to really submit much other than a video concept. Like they didn't ask for a marketing plan. It used to make me crazy that all these people got videos, and then you'd look into it and half of them didn't even bother making the videos. It's like if you were from Toronto and you applied, you pretty much got your video money. And I don't know. It bothered me a little bit. It didn't seem very like there was much accountability on the whole thing. But
A system for music video funding now. It's mostly through Factor, I think. There's some provincial grants available, but now it's more seen as a bigger part of marketing overall. So you're submitting a full marketing plan, and it's, can consist of shorter clips, content, and music videos. It's all seen as the big marketing wheel.
It was frustrating for me as a director to do the Much Facts. I remember the deadline was always on a Thursday. And then the whole thing is you'd have to write the treatments for it. But so you'd write all of these treatments, and then if they didn't get money, they never got made. So it was kind of like you'd write 12 treatments for maybe one video to get made.
Wow, I remember that cycle. All the directors would be so busy writing treatments to hit that deadline for tons and tons of people. You just try and squeeze your idea in there somewhere.
Yeah, and then sometimes just keep it loose because you're like, we can finalize it more and edit. And yeah, and it was always kind of like we're like, oh shit, that deadline's like this next week. It was always snuck up on us.
Yeah, that's wild. That whole rush kind of went away. Now there's
Yeah.
no major deadline.
did you do videos for 604 before you worked for 604?
I did, but I can't remember which ones. I don't know if I'd started, like I did By Starlight. That was my first one. We had a $10,000 budget, and at the time I was like, this is it. I've made it. And it wasn't, we did the most for it too. It was that one where we had the party bus and
Oh yeah.
yeah, I had like a DSLR at the time. I don't know what your folks there now use, but like it was before the time of social media too, which was so kind of crazy and lucky because I do things behind the scenes. Oh, I did a lot of behind the scenes. Like, I don't know. Anyhow, I don't remember
We started at a crazy time because it wouldn't have been more than 6 months before Carly took off. Yeah.
That was a really crazy thing to witness firsthand.
Yeah, I have these weird memories. Like I have one memory of you, the two of you being in New York.
Yeah.
And I remember we're not going to I don't want to get too into the weeds on this, but let's just say it wasn't the best trip ever, if I
I remember
remember
that trip
correctly.
too,
It was
Emma.
great for me.
Yeah, it's a great trip for you. It's a great trip for you.
Yeah, I had a great.
Why was it great for you? I mean, you're laughing like there's something I'm not remembering. What am I
No,
not
I went
remembering?
missing for a while.
Oh yeah.
On that trip, and she told me she was going for a walk, and she went for a walk in New York City at like 10 p.m. at night, and then didn't return. And I was up like a worried parent.
Yeah, you called me. In fact, now that you mention that, I think Kesi called me all like, I don't know where Emma is. I don't know what's going on.
I lost her.
Where were you? What was the answer to that?
Where are you, Emma?
I plead the fifth. I don't know. I cannot recall.
Wow.
Getting a slice.
Wow.
I don't recall.
I think you got a slice.
Yeah, I think I got a slice. That was it. Went to go check out some local jazz, probably. Something.
Probably.
Don't make me cross-examine the two of you, because I'm feeling like this. I might have to cross, because I can tell Kesi knows. She's got a shit-eating grin on her face.
Such a mixed bag of happy that you were safe and not kidnapped like I thought you were, and also a little pissed, and then also really intrigued by what type of pizza you were out
Yeah.
having.
I mean, I was young and it was a, that's on you. You took a 22-year-old to New York and I was gonna have a time.
Okay.
Anyway,
I vow to the listeners, I will get to the bottom of this at some point.
I think that was a Madison Square Gardens show, like a few nights back to back.
2 or 3 nights.
Yeah.
To see behind, like backstage at Madison Square Gardens was pretty crazy.
With Bieber? Was that when we were still on that Bieber tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy. I rode the first, I'm going to say 5 or 6 dates, because that started in Phoenix, because I remember being in Phoenix, because that's where pre-production was, and it was like August in Phoenix. It was like 500 degrees every day. It was brutal. But then I rode that tour, I think, down to LA, and I don't know, I probably was on 4 or 5 shows. And did you ever see Bieber backstage on his what do they call those things?
Segway?
Yeah. He would just kind of scoot around and then like sort of pull up if you were talking. He'd sort of pull, hey guys, what's up? Okay, take it easy. Yeah, see you later. It's like, what was
Those
that?
shows were great though. That production value. Bieber was really dancing back then too.
It was a well-oiled machine. That was like it was very calm backstage, actually, like very mellow.
And he's obviously still a big star, but that was kind of the peak. Like that was kind of just like insanity every night.
Well, he's headlining Coachella this year. He's not stopping.
No, he's not stopping at all. Emma, I'm curious if you have seen the 604 restored stuff that we're doing on our YouTube page. Well, I'm just curious as a director and as somebody who's prominent in the music video world. Any thoughts on that?
I'm very happy to see it. I'm curious how you're doing it, actually, how you're doing the restore. Are you getting it from the old tapes, or are you just up-resing it using AI or something?
It's been a combination of different things. It's pretty wild, to be honest. Like, so I don't even know if you knew this. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But Much Music does maintain their library. Anything that's ever been played on Much Music, you can get your hands on. And so it is an AI thing that we're using. It's an AI tool. And we're finding that different source material leads to different results, which kind of stating the obvious, but it's not always what you would think. And so, for example, and Kesi, you can probably remember this. What was a video we just could not get right? We tried over. It was a Theory of a Dead Man video, I think. It's funny because like sometimes it's amazing. Like you'll do it and it's like, like I don't know if you saw the Cross My Heart upscale that we did for Mariana's. Night and day. Like everything that was blurry is now clear. I watch that video and I'm just like, wow. Or some of the Faber Drive ones. But then sometimes we'll do one and all it does is succeed in making it weird, not good. I don't know if that's a comment on the technology or the source material, but yeah, we've had to go to Much Music a number of times to say, hey, can you give us, and they send you a digital file and then we use that as a starting point for the upscale.
It makes me so happy because so many of the videos that we worked on were, yeah, they're in like 480p interlaced online, and they were shot on film and like should look really nice, but they are, I don't know, they just look like crap.
And speaking of spending $80,000 on a video that now looks like crap on YouTube.
Pretty wild. Like it was making me crazy for years. And it was actually, Colin Jans, right, Emma?
Mhm.
It was Colin who brought it to me. Like Colin, I used to complain about it all the time, how much I hated the way videos looked. And I'll tell you the one that really used to bother me the most was one that actually Colin did. It was When I'm With You by Faber Drive,
Mhm.
which, say what you will about, I mean, I know people have different opinions about that song and that video. I always loved that video. I just always thought, what a great
I was there
concept.
for that. I was a PA for that video, so I was on.
Well, I love that video, and it was killing me that it looked like shit. Like, and I don't know if we've even put up the new one. I don't think we have, because we're putting out a anniversary edition of that album. But oh, wait till you see the upscaled version of that. It's so good. It's so
I'm glad it was shot
pristine.
on film too, so it should look good. Um, yeah, I got into doing a little of that too because I do a screening series of music videos here. So we did like all of Floria's videos with her, and like we did Director X, and we did it like Mark Webb. We did, so he had we did all the restore on, I don't know, like all the old My Chemical Romance videos. No one has them. And so we got the AI tool stuff. And I think it is like, depending if it's interlaced, it can get really weird sometimes. It's filling in the data with, I don't know. So sometimes the wrong stuff, and it just looks kind of jello-y or off.
Yeah, it does.
It works well.
Now, when you start to work for us, do you remember what the first videos were? I mean, I'm just trying to remember, because I know you've done tons of videos for us, but some of it was when you were already gone. Like, there were some Mariana's videos that I don't think you were technically working for 604 anymore, but
No, when I started with Fion, I was already gone too, but I did like that was after. At the time, it was By Starlight. It was like Kieran Mercer. It was who else was around at that time too? It was I'm trying to think of the videos back when. I mean, Fake Shark. We did Fake Shark there.
Did you do any of the like Matt Webb videos?
I did 2 Matt Webb videos.
Did you do the one where it's kind of a play on Silence of the Lambs?
No, that was Ben. But I did get really severe chemical burns on that video because I was I was the production designer on it, and he wanted a well so that he could play that, like, lotion on its skin thing. So I built the like top of the well just to like look fake, but I didn't realize that when you use concrete, it's like you can't touch concrete with your bare hands. So I got quite severe chemical burns for that video. So I went all out.
Thank you for not suing us or coming after us for that. I appreciate it.
No, that was on me. I should have learned something about how concrete works.
Well, you've got, in case she does sue, you heard it there. It was her fault. She's admitting it.
Yeah.
That to be clear. Emma, you grew up in Vancouver, right?
Burnaby.
Burnaby. I have funny memories about this too. And this could be something I completely made up. This could be, you're completely whacked. I have no idea. But wasn't your dad like kind of like the nutty professor? Wasn't he like an inventor or something?
Yeah, he's a scientist. He's a man of science, and I don't know. He's like an inventor. He's a chemist. Sounds like he's a drug dealer when I put it that way, or creating stuff. No, he was just he did a mosquito repellent, and then he did glue for a long time, adhesives.
So was he a professor and then he would get hired, or he was like completely in the private domain?
Freelance consultant. So he actually did a lot of like court cases and stuff too, especially in that he'd do like the science, and he'd be, what do they call it? A expert witness. You'd know.
Oh,
do a lot of expert witness stuff, and they'd be like, "Hey, we need to know if the glue failed here, if it was the contractor's fault or whatever it was." And then he'd be like, "It was the glue," and he did all sorts of things like tape in hair extensions and the siding off of ships and glue, and he'd do these things too. He did one for I don't know what it was. It was, I think, at the ship siding one, but he went to like he had to test and do experiments on like how it held up in salt water. So we'd go to like the North Van, like pier, and then he'd go to low tide, and me and my sister would have to go help him. It would be like 2 a.m. We'd have to wait for low tide to like go check the samples that he'd like ratchet strapped to the base of the pier. So just that kind of stuff. Science.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, you have siblings, right? A sister.
I have one younger sister who still lives, well, she's actually in Maple Ridge now, but she's still in BC.
Did your dad ever do experiments on the two of you?
Yeah, he did. Especially when we had the mosquito repellent business, which was again more chemical burns. So
Full circle.
Have you watched any of the Fallout series that's out now on
no.
Amazon? Well,
Would I
because
find it
part of
triggering?
it is part of it is there's this little device that they put in people's neck and then they can control them. Like
Mhm.
he never did that to you, did he?
No, probably just because he didn't have the technology.
um, let's talk a bit also because I want to get to obviously your feature film, but let's talk first, I guess, about the Juno that you won. You won a Juno for the Jesse Reyes video.
hmm
What's the name of the song? I'm sorry, I had it and I lost it in my
Um,
brain.
when no one's in the room.
Um, by the way, I voted for you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Every vote
Yes,
matters.
every vote matters. Um, this is a loaded question, I guess, but did that change anything for you, or just a resume builder?
No, it did. It really did. I think that sometimes it's especially to like visa paperwork, things like that. It lends clout. It's still the thing people have it like, talking points. I just did a whole week of press, so when you're on the morning news, that's the kind of thing that it matters. I don't think it helped me get jobs per se. I don't think it necessarily mattered for that, but it did help for like outsiders who don't necessarily know the meaning of it. It just sounds really good.
Probably matters more in Canada than in the States, I would think.
Yeah, I just try and tell people, I'm like, it's a Grammy of Canada.
Yeah, yeah, Canadian Grammys. Yeah,
I'm really
exactly.
big in Canada, so
um, okay, so let's talk about your feature. That's a nice little segue into the
let's talk
feature.
about
So,
Kesi. We could ask Kesi some questions, for God's sakes.
oh,
No, I'm
or
good.
Cassie can ask you some questions. I don't know.
I just find Emma's fascination with scientists like really intriguing, and that it's definitely lends itself to your
Oh,
story.
this goes back to that night in New York, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't go back to that.
Yes, it does. Now we're getting somewhere, people.
You're pretty far from the target, John.
I used to always ask Emma about her dad because I found it fascinating. I just was like,
That's really cool.
I
Yeah,
don't really know any scientists, you know?
neither of my parents work in the arts, and they definitely thought I was cuckoo bananas and had a lot of concerns for what was happening when I decided to work in this field. They were like, I don't know, you're gonna be homeless and starving forever, and the
So what was it like? Like, stop fiddling around with that video. Get in here and dissect this frog right now.
yeah, it's funny you say that because my sister is a frog scientist now.
Oh God.
She got her master's. She's published on amphibians all over the world. That's what she does.
I was going to ask you what your family thinks of the choice you made in this career, but it brings up an interesting moment leading back to that same tour that we did that took us through Madison Square Gardens. I felt like that was a moment in my family when like my job was very legitimate. It was suddenly like not just an indie record label in Vancouver, but I was like doing something global with someone they recognized and knew, and it like created a lot of legitimacy to what I was doing. Did you feel that in the time? Did you feel like I feel like you didn't join us at looking for tours, looking for content on the road, but maybe it was a bit life changing.
It helped me figure out the path I wanted to go in a lot of ways because I was actually able and I learn a lot. You learn a lot. I learned it was kind of I was very grateful, and I look back on that creative time to just be like it was a sort of like I could make mistakes and figure out stuff, and like I didn't know all of the editing software and everything perfectly then, but it wasn't like I was hired, it was okay. I could get by and then learn it on the job, and that changed. It didn't legitimize me with my parents until I think the Juno helped with that. Actually, that was more of a moment, but at that time too, they're like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. And they don't know. I don't think they even knew who Carl. They were just so on music. So
Yeah, but when your kid gets wins an award, that means
Yeah.
something for sure.
That means something. And when my brought my mom when the Junos were in Vancouver in 2018, I was nominated for the first time with Mother Mother. I brought my mom, and so she came and did like the carpet and the show with me, and then she was able to see the whole like intensity of it, and it seemed quite legitimate then, I think, because the Junos are like they put on a great show.
They put on a boring show, a bland, boring show with the exact things you would expect. But other than that, it's great. It's really wonderful.
I was also there in Edmonton with that topless gal who I
Oh yeah, the Avril Lavigne nut.
talking about topless streakers. That was an exciting thing. And yeah, my parents also in the movie. My parents saw the movie this weekend, so that's good. That legitimized it, I think.
For the first time
Yeah.
in theaters, that's cool.
Where was it playing? Like, where did they see it?
It's playing at International Village right now. You could
Oh,
go see it,
nice.
4 shows a day.
I'm gonna be walking right. I'm going to the Canuck game with Dallas Smith tonight. I'm gonna be walking right by there. Maybe I'll drag him over there.
You don't even have to sit through the whole movie. You can just buy the ticket. It counts towards our box office.
You'll want to see the
Well,
whole though.
I saw the movie. I watched the link.
But
And
yeah,
I read the review in the Globe, which was nice. I was a little I thought the Globe review was positive. The Exclaim review wasn't amazing. Exclaim's funny though, right? Because like they sort of, it's a blah blah blah. They had a couple little criticisms, and you're like, oh, this feels like it's going to get an 8, and then it gets a 6, and you're like, what? The fuck does that mean? I don't know if you saw my tweet. I actually took them to task a little bit about it on Twitter.
did you?
Oh
Oh,
yes.
good. I don't know. I think I mean, the Globe and Mail one was good because he's a top critic too. It's kind of all over the map. I don't really care if I want them to give us good reviews, but it is also odd. And then, yeah, there's a couple that hate it, but most people like it. So that's good.
Can you read them all the reviews?
I've slowed down. I've stopped because it just wasn't helpful. There's, yeah, but I don't know. For the most part, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You do better. We had 18 days. It was fast. It was furious. It's not, perfect, but I think it's for what we did in the time we had and the money. I'm like, I'm proud.
You should
Yeah,
be.
you should. Yeah, you
I'm
should be. I agree.
I'm really proud to see you complete this whole feature film and represent it well and have this whole cast and production coming from PA. Like it's just a wild arc. And I love the film. I thought
That
you
was
did
the wild thing about being in Toronto this week was just being like, it was like we had a whole theater, we had the Royal Theater full, and then we had this like, and all of these people working and, organizing, and even Strut was there too with Herman. I don't know how he went and did a whole day of press with them the day after the screening, and we had an after party at Sneaky D's, and we rented the whole upstairs floor, and we played emo music, and like I was just like, look, it was kind of wonderful to see all these people get brought together by this movie. It was really nice, and we had fun. And then Herman and the rest of the cast stayed out till like 4 a.m, and then he had to wake up and do press. I don't know how he did it. I think Norwegians can hold their liquor. He was like, I went home at midnight and I was like, I'm done. And they just kept going.
That is the first I'm hearing that he stayed up till 4 before that whole day of press. He had like morning TV.
I know. And and I watched a bunch of interviews. He looked great and he sounded great.
Can I assume that when people were asking you about the feature, you were giving me appropriate credit if it wasn't for Jonathan supporting me early in my career? Can I assume that was what you mostly were talking about?
I did say a lot of that, and it's in there, and I have tapes if you need them on all the different outlets that I dropped 604 and the influential time that it was. And I
I'm
keep plugging
just fucking with you.
No, you're not. You need.
Oh, I mean, it's nice to be acknowledged, but I'm kidding. It's not like I did that so that you would credit me 20 years later about a film you did, I hired you because you're good at your job. That's why I hired you. So, when you came up with the idea for the film, how did it get from an idea in your head to actually being in theaters? I mean, I know it's a long process, but can you give us sort of the Coles notes? So you have this idea. Shit, I think I have a great idea for a movie. What happens next?
I mean, we had it for years and it kind of circled and it went through a lot of different rewrites, And then we applied for telefilm. It was kind of like, it was my manager who was like, you should you should dust this one off because we'd applied for another film and gotten, and then a certain way along the road with it. And then COVID hit and then it died in the water. And then we're like, oh, it was heartbreaking. And then he was like, well, you still have this script that you wrote a while back. Why don't you do another rewrite on that? There's a deadline coming up. And we went in for telefilm with that. We found then Kate, who plays the lead. That was a very big piece of the puzzle. And then we had to put together the rest of the financing outside of telefilm, which was like a roller coaster of stuff.
So who's the we? When you say we, who's we? Like, there's a manager. Who's the manager? I don't even know who your manager is.
Taj Critchlow, who's also,
okay. I knew I was dealing with him as part of the production team. I didn't really understand that he was also your manager.
Yeah, he's a producer on it too, but him and then another producer called Daniel Quinn. So it was like the three of us, and we formed a company for the film and like kind of started going through there. And then, yeah, when we got telefilm, it was kind of like you have a year to close the financing when you get telefilm for the rest of the financing. So we spent like a year getting other pieces of money and grants together and then managed to get it across the line and went to camera, found the rest of the cast, hired a casting director. During that time,
in Canada, was it shot
in North Bay, Ontario, which is like it's like kind of Sudbury adjacent.
I've spent time in North Bay. I know it well.
It was nice, actually. It was kind of cute to film in because
it's not the worst. It's not the worst place in the world, that's for sure.
No, it was pretty nice. And then, yeah, and then it was funny too because the company, it actually worked out really well for us. Elevation, who's distributing the film, came on midway through because the company we had originally, when you go in for telefilm, you have to have distribution in place already. And we had a different company signed on to be our distributor, but they went bankrupt during the time that we were putting together. And then Elevation came in and like bought out the rights, and then which is great because they actually do theatrical stuff. And they kind of just said they'd distribute it. But then when we got into South by Southwest and started doing really well in the festival circuit, that's when I think they saw that we could do a little theatrical run too.
Okay, so now the movie's out, and it must be weird in a way, right? You're just sort of sitting there going, gee, I hope people like it. Gee, I hope it does well. I mean, is that kind of the feeling?
I guess so. I mean, the thing we need to, yeah, but it's kind of out of my hands. It's sort of weird because now it's just, my work on it's done. It's existing like separate and away from me.
You immediately go into like what's the next thing? What are you planning next? Are you already in that space, or are you going to take a little?
No, well, it's been 2 years since we filmed, which is the nuts thing. So I'm like ready to do the next movie, and we're doing whatever else in the meantime. But yeah, I feel ready because it's such a slow machine. We premiered it exactly a year ago in South by, and then it's coming out. So it's just,
yeah, it takes time.
Yeah, I'm ready for more. I've recovered. I was burned out though. I tell you, after the movie for a while, I had to take
I'm sure.
I was so tired because it's also just like it's so much more on your shoulders than anything else. Because if you're not like pushing that along, you really have to be the one who cares about it.
Since I'm talking to two women in the business, ever have any feelings about like the fact that you're a woman? Has that made it harder in any ways? Has it made it easier in any ways, or is it just utterly irrelevant at this point?
Kesi, you want to answer first?
I would say that it hasn't made it harder in this company. I feel just as supported as any other. I actually feel like there's more women running things in our company than men. So I don't feel like I've been stuck here, but I do feel industry-wide it took a very long time to feel on par in any way. And I think it only really happened after some of that like sort of legitimization with Carly and Bieber. But I noticed it was even more recent than that, even after the Carly ship had sailed and all of that kind of calmed down, sort of around COVID times, I guess, when all the boards and the industry and executives were looking at their makeup and what the diversity is. And I think that's when it was sort of like, oh yeah, you should have a voice too, like kind of an afterthought, and I felt the difference since then. But internally in my day-to-day, no, I feel strong and opinionated enough that my voice is heard on a day-to-day for sure. Uh, yeah. How is it for you?
I mean, I love being a woman and getting to do like, I think it's nice. We have like I surround myself with a lot of women now too, and the sets and stuff, which is kind of nice. Um, Probably some of the things you're saying, just working a little bit harder to be taken seriously or something too. But that's a lot on myself too, in a way where I think that like I saw it took me a while to even build up, like even after I left 604, I had quite a good reel. I had all these music videos I'd done and all this stuff, and I was like, I should go out and get signed and like get represented and so that I can do bigger jobs. And I was like, I need to wait and build up my reel more. And then I'd see these like guys who just had the confidence and they had nothing on their reels, but they'd walk into companies and they'd get signed because they just would talk the talk so big. And I just was like a little more, I don't know, I was shy about it
That's
or
a great point. It's very internalized. It's like
yeah.
I feel a lot of imposter syndrome. Even still, I find myself around tables where I'm like, I don't know. I'll see what all these other people have to say, but then I realize that I know more about the topic than I think I
Yeah.
do.
Well,
Yeah.
I think part of the reason I asked was because I did notice reading reviews and stuff that it still comes up like as though it's somehow a thing. Like, female director. It's like, why did you feel the need to say that? Like, why is it important to say to this guy who's writing a review? Why does he have to say it like that? Like, like the directorial feature debut from female. It's like, yeah, her name's Emma. We get that she's female. I don't why they don't always say male when they're talking about a male director. It's just
They never
interesting.
do. It's also part of the thing that's so one of my biggest peeps about it too. And this happened in 2018 when all the Me Too stuff happened. Suddenly you got like a big bubble of things and it kind of helped me because I was able to jump to commercials more at that time too. But then everything snapped back now. And women directors are actually this last year directed the least amount of like
Oh,
movies then since like 2009. It's kind of like we had this bubble and then it sort of just snapped back in a way. And I don't know what it was. It was like 7% of the movies last year or something were directed by women. It's better in Canada, actually. The GGC has more members. I think it's like, I'm going to screw up the numbers, but than the DGA does,
ah,
of working women directors, which is like, I think probably a really good case for, what do we call it? But they just got rid of it in all the schools, DEI and all that kind of stuff too, or just like inclusion practices it forces, especially the television series that shoot in Canada to hire more women directors and stuff. And that does like start to break in more. So it's just, I think it's still rare, which is kind of the part of it. I think that you also need it because I think that women inherently tell different stories and otherwise you just get the same damn story again and again.
yep.
And yeah, you just have different perspectives. But
It's funny. The whole DEI thing is. I find it so fascinating. I mean, 604 has never had a policy about that. I've never put diversity as like one of the goals of our company because I just don't care. Like and it's funny how when you really don't care, when you really just try to hire the people you think are the best for the job, I think you end up with a diverse company. Like, I think if you don't have the preconceived notion of like, well, a woman couldn't be the videographer. I mean, I didn't think twice about it. I didn't like, why would I give a shit? You had good work and that's all I cared about. Or Kesi. I mean, it's like, I didn't hire Kesi because she's a woman or because she's black. I didn't give a shit. And I still don't give a shit. And that's not why she's risen up the company. She's risen up the company because she's really fucking good at her job. So it's funny. I've never really, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about the DEI thing. Like, it's sad that it's even something that's necessary, I guess.
it's different when there's money on the line because people investing in the like really putting millions of dollars down into making a project. And so they want something that's, going to be proven. So we talk a lot about comps in filmmaking. So like comparable movies and the numbers of, so we'll do studies on like, okay, we can look at 5 movies last year that have similar like level of actors and, audience base or whatever and how well they do. And if there's not comparable movies, it's really hard to invest in them. And so if it's a woman driven story, it's just because it's the same thing's been done again and again. You just look to what's been done in the past because it's a lot easier to put money in and you don't have to take a risk on something or someone new. So it kind of forces the hand because people, I don't know if they want to take the risk
It also just sort of like breeds more and better. So, and I imagine this is the same in film as it is in any company where if you have people who look like me in your staff and I'm in there doing the hiring or in there making decisions, I have some decision making power. I'm also looking for people who look like me, or, the next person's looking for someone who also sort of represents them. And you just sort of end up with a diverse staff because everybody's well represented. It doesn't all feel like we all look and feel like the same communities. I think it opens doors just because, someone comes into an interview with someone like me, they may feel more welcome, more confident, and I think that sort of opens a space of comfort that may not exist if your whole executive team is made up of white men, right? So uh, the fact that our sort of senior level of people includes women who look like me, women who look like Julie, who's French Canadian. It really helps kind of expand those. Same thing in the board situation. I've been working heavily on a lot of music boards across Canada, and 10 years ago they all kind of looked the same, and today there's much more diversity, and I think that was partially because they specifically opened up DEI spaces.
Where I was about to go was just to talk about the music, because Emma was kind enough to ask us if we'd like to get involved on putting out the music from the film, because the film, of course, involves the story of a rock star, and there was some really, really great music that was recorded by Blitz Berlin, I think is who they are. Tell us a bit about that, Emma. Like, how did you hook up with Blitz Berlin?
They're from Victoria, and they used to be in a band called The Set. I don't know if you remember them. They were,
Oh, I did not make that connection.
yeah. So they were all over the radio. So I worked on videos for them back when, and then they moved to Toronto, and then they became Blitz Berlin and got into composing. So like when I did that first Bravo Fact short, they were the composers on that, and that was, yeah, 10 years ago. So they were like, the first sort of composers who I'd crossed paths with and were willing to do my short films back then when I had nothing. And then they kept getting bigger and bigger and working on their career in the meantime.
And they're great songs. I want more. I want more floor plan.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are good.
they're solid songs. So when you did the auditioning for the lead, um, did you put it out there that whoever it is better be able to sing?
I mean, I asked people, I was like, I hope that if they can sing, if not, then we could get like a singing stand-in or something. Or like, I kind of was like, as long as they can sing-ish, but he can sing. And he was really humble about it. Like, he was like, oh, I can sing a little. And then he's like, he really can sing. Um, so we were just lucky. He can sing, he can dance, he can act. Herman Tomaris.
Good looking guy too, gotta say.
Yeah, not bad on the eyes. He's good.
It was not hard to get our marketing team behind this one. They were so excited, like little fangirls, to work on floor plan and Herman's campaign.
And he's so nice. It's been really fun, and I was really happy, you guys. It was so funny too because Taj, like, he told me or whatever they were planning to do this. Basically, we kept the rights to the music out of the distro stuff, so we were going to have to figure out how to put out the album. He was like, I'm going to reach out to some labels and this kind of stuff. And he was like, I reached out to 604, and I was like, yeah, why didn't you tell me? Like, I know them really well. Like,
Yeah, it was confusing. It was a little confusing at first. I was like, well, why isn't Emma sending this? Or
he
why is
didn't tell me he was going to do it. I was like, because I know they were, and if I think that they were just at that point searching the options, because I think for them it was either we were going to get a label on board and help us take that off our plate because it's not something we know anything about, or it was like we'd go through CD Baby or something and just try and do it. But we had no chance. We don't know, and we're putting out a movie. We couldn't also put out an album. It was like, who with what time? I haven't slept.
Yeah, and it was pretty last minute. I mean, which is nobody's fault. I think it was just like, oh shit, we should do this.
Yeah.
And it was sort of we all had to kind of look at each other and say, okay, well, it would have been nice to have an extra month, but who cares? Let's just do it. Emma, what else do you have coming up? Is I always like to give people an opportunity to if you have other stuff that you're promoting or anything else that you want to put on people's radar.
Trying to get people to go see Sweetness in theaters if it's still in theaters, or it'll be available for rental and purchase on all the like Apple, Amazon platforms, and then eventually it'll go to streaming. But to watch the movie, I want to do another movie, so going whatever that is going to be next. I'm going to spend the rest of my day working on a pitch for a burger commercial. So glamorous stuff. A&W's
Wow.
got a new burger. I can't tell you anything about it, but it's going to be very exciting.
Well, that's funny because Nickelback just did a commercial that's going to be very, very widely distributed with another artist who's very, very well known for a food brand that, it's just funny when, uh, there I said a whole bunch of stuff and I actually said nothing at the same time, but I just find it
Perfect
funny
within the
when,
NDA.
yeah, exactly. It's a very much an NDA sort of thing. Emma, you're in LA, right? That's where you live now?
Yeah,
You miss Vancouver at all? Just curious.
I do a lot. I think it was kind of getting to an interesting point where I like Toronto. I don't want to live in Toronto. And then Vancouver for getting directing opportunities. I think I could move back now because now I don't. I think I had to move away to like break through, and then now I could come back because everyone of like so many of the directors that you see working in Vancouver fly in. It's such a service town and stuff. So I didn't know that I was going to be able to get to where I am without having left first. But now I really do miss it and appreciate it a lot more. I think when I left, I'd grown up there. So I was like, it's boring and everyone just does yoga and hikes and stuff. And now I'm like, oh, it's so quiet and people do yoga and hikes and that's what I want to do. So it's like suits me.
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear you. Well, listen, I congratulations on the film. That's a hell of an accomplishment. It really, really is. And you know, I'm very proud of the small part that 604 played in your career. It's very, I don't know, it's very heartwarming now to sort of see sort of that path from, the first time I saw you sweeping a floor at a Ocala music video, and here you are promoting your feature film. So it's just nice when nice things happen to nice people, and there aren't many nice people in this godforsaken business. So, this is just a very feel good story for us on many, many different levels.
I was
Well,
gonna say that you're definitely the right person. Like you have always been such a pleasure to work with. I've definitely been on a lot of film sets, music video sets where there's a lot of screaming and toxicity, and you've always been so pleasant and lovely to work with. And I'm really just pleased to see you doing the things you were dreaming of doing back then. It's really, really cool.
no, I mean, and I think it's no, you say it's a small part, but it's actually a really big part to like have given did give me a lot of opportunities and saw potential and stuff. And I think yeah, it means a lot. And talking about what we were saying earlier too, just not seeing anything except for the work and getting a chance to direct something and like having my first budgets, and learning in relatively, it was a learning as I went and in a safe and creative space, finding my voice. Very influential.
Go check out Sweetness. We have the self titled debut EP is out right now. Floor Plan by Floor Plan, available on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, all the other places that you can listen to music. And please, if you like this podcast, please hit subscribe, please hit like, please watch it, please send us money, please send us drugs, please send us, I don't know what else we want, candy. Send us whatever you got. We'll take it. But Emma, thank you so much. That was a gas. Kesi, thank you for doing that.